Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. I have somewhat of a quick one for you today. I'm sharing with you beautiful options for wrapping a candle, which could be for a gift, a very lovely gift for someone for their birthday, etc. Or it's a great option for a hostess gift for a party you may be attending, perhaps New Year's Eve, or simply just a way to dress up a candle for your home. This is so quick and easy and beautiful. Let me show you how I designed these 3 candle wraps, and I'm going to give you lots of options for designing them in other ways as well. Okay, so scrapbook paper and a candle, of course. Now, I'm going to caution you to check out the candles that you buy and the shape of the container, because you don't want them to be slanted as they progress up the candle jar, if that makes sense. You want them to be very straight. And I'm going to tell you where you can get candles that are very suitable for this project. You're going to need beautiful scrapbook papers, and you know how I love scrapbook paper. And this is going to be such a beautiful option for changing the look of what is otherwise a simple candle in a jar. That particular scrapbook paper I got in a booklet at Hobby Lobby. Every other week it's 40% off. This one was another beautiful option. I got that at Michael's 1 or 2 years ago, but perhaps they still have something like this. These are heavier scrapbook papers. They are 12 by 12 inches. I'm going to advocate that you use a sturdy scrapbook paper. You can also get them by single sheets at Hobby Lobby. Again, every other week, 40% off. And those you'll want to get in the 12 by 12 size as well. And again, a medium to heavy weight scrapbook paper is best. I'm going to advocate that you use a scalloped scissors. Now, these are crafting scissors. They are absolutely awesome. I believe I got mine on Amazon a couple of years ago, but you could find these in any craft store. I wouldn't advocate getting the ones that they sell in the Crafter Square section at Dollar Tree. They are not good crafting scissors. You're going to need some pretty ribbons. Of course, that's completely up to you. I'm doing these candle wraps, and I'm still in kind of a holiday mode, and I think these would be an awesome hostess gift if you are going to a New Year's Eve party. So I'm going to stay with that theme, but just try and imagine these in other patterns and designs as well. I'm showing you here some options. I love to use pretty buttons on the front of a candle. Now, this may look vaguely familiar because I did quite a bit of this on the wine wraps that I just, the video that I posted. So these also go very well. These ideas that I had for the wine wraps also for candles. Now, these are from Hobby Lobby. I love Hobby Lobby candles. Look at the beautiful design of the jar. This just adds to the beauty of the candle and the wrap. Now, these are perfectly straight and even up around the jar or the vertically on the jar. What I meant before was you don't want a candle that is wider at the top than it is at the bottom. You want it to be equal, the bottom and the top. This is really much better for wrapping. If you try and wrap a jar that's like this one, actually, this one wasn't really suitable, the one I just had in my hand, because it graduates in size toward the top of the jar, and that makes it more difficult to wrap. So try and find candles like the ones that you can get at Hobby Lobby every other week, 40% off, that are straight from the bottom to the top. Now, I like to make patterns for my candles. And I made one for these particular candles because I buy them often at Hobby Lobby. So for me, it was worth it to go ahead and make the pattern. I just used a piece of cardstock paper, a little bit on the heavier side. I measured my candle from top to bottom, and then I used a tape measure to measure around the circumference. And I just made a pattern. I used my paper cutter. Love, love, love these. You can purchase these anywhere. Walmart, any craft store, Amazon, anyone has them. But they're nice for cutting a very straight piece of, a very straight cut on your piece of paper. Now, I measured exactly about how tall I thought I wanted my wrap to be. Now, I can always adjust this very easily when I use my scallop scissors. You can use a straight edge. You don't have to scallop your edges. I just like the look of it on a candle or as well on the wine wraps. Now, I'm showing you some different options. Some of the paper pads have this type of scrapbook paper pieces available inside the pad. And you can see that they use different patterns. And you can use this to your advantage when you're doing a candle wrap. I'm showing you here an option. This was one of the pieces of scrapbook paper that came in one of those booklets. And you can either use a continuous pattern piece all on one piece on the 12 by 12, or you can cut them in accordance to the patterns on the scrapbook paper. And I'm giving you an example of that here, how pretty that can be. Now, those candles would look beautiful wrapped in that, but I actually chose to use other scrapbook papers, and this is one of them. You may recognize this from the wine wrap. I'm using this again for the candle. This is a black, white, and gold. Again, I'm staying with kind of an elegant color scheme. Now, I'm just going to take my pattern. Now, I'm going to keep this pattern in my craft stash or area, and I could just pull it out anytime I need to wrap a candle for a gift, which I think is just a beautiful gift and always very appreciated as a gift. So I'm just going to keep that handy, as well as the pattern for my wine wraps. Now, these paper cutters are awesome because they have a little ledge on the bottom that helps you to get it straight. And then you have that awesome paper cutter. And see how easy and simple that was to get a nice straight edge on my candle wrap piece. So I just used my pencil to create a line on my scrapbook paper on the back. If you use a scrapbook paper that has a price on the back that you can't remove, just be careful to avoid that so it's not ending up on your candle wrap. Now, if I need to make adjustments, very easy to do that. If I want to use my my paper cutter, I can cut off very small sections. But you don't have to have one of these paper cutters. You can simply use your ruler and create your lines on your candle wrap that way. It's very easy to do. Now, right now, I'm just kind of obsessing over getting just a tiny little bit off. Now, sometimes these scrapbook papers have patterns, and you may want to pay attention to that when you're cutting. Maybe you want your candle wrap to look a particular way with the line going through or cutting through that scrapbook paper in a particular way on your scrapbook paper, if that made any sense. In plain words, just look at the pattern and try and create your lines on your pattern while you're cutting out your scrapbook paper that you think is going to look the best on the piece. Now I'm going to do that loose fold just like I did with my wine wraps. I press the edges together, and starting at the very middle, I'm just going to go over that piece and create a curve. And this is going to be the design of my candle wrap. If you want to keep it straight, you can do that. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom edge. So I'm just creating a little design on the front of my candle wrap. It creates kind of a little V on the top and bottom. You may want to do the V just on the top or bottom, or not at all. That's completely up to you. This is the way I'm creating mine today. Now I'm going to take my scalloping scissors, my crafting scissors. These are absolutely awesome. And I'm going to go along the edge. And like I said, I believe I got mine on Amazon a couple of years ago, and they cut so beautifully. You really have to get a good grade of scissors that will do this job, because the cheap ones, like I said, the ones at the Dollar Tree, oh my, they are not good. So I would not go for those. I would invest in these scissors. They're not expensive. I want to say maybe $12, something like that. Okay, so I have my wrap completed. Now I'm going to decide, what am I going to put on the front of my candle? So I decided on this pretty gold ribbon, which is a very nice match for the gold in that scrapbook paper. I'm just going to create a small bow. Now I did a 4-loop bow initially, but I believe that I reduced it to 2 loops on each side and ultimately. Now you can do that. You can try a 4-loop bow, or you can try a 2-loop bow, and just decide what is best for you. Like I said, I think I created this with 4 loops and then decided it was a little bit too big for the piece. So I ended up creating it, undoing the pipe cleaner and just creating a 2-loop bow instead. But I use my typical method. You can use whatever method you like. You can use a bow Deborah. You can use an easy bow maker. You could use just any method that you like. Now I placed it up there, and I knew I was going to put a button on here. So I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be too large or overpowering for that size candle piece. Now, if this were a bigger candle jar, that 4-loop bow would have been fine. But being that this is a little bit of a smaller candle jar, I'm going to reduce that to 2 loops on each side. And I'm going to be placing one of my jeweled buttons right in the center. I get my buttons at Hobby Lobby. You could get them anywhere. You can also order packages of embellishments like this, the buttons, on Amazon, on Temu. You could pick them up at Michael's. I just think they're beautiful for a candle wrap. So here I have my little 2-loop bow. I kept my loops small. I want to say they were about 3 inches in length. I have short tails on there. I'm just opening up that bow now to see how that button that I'm going to place on there, which has a gold, it's a gold button with the backing is more of a gold. So I'm trying to match all of my accessories, if you will, that's going to go on this candle wrap. So I picked up that particular button at Hobby Lobby. Their buttons are always $1.99 and under. So for a pretty button like this, I think that's very reasonable. And it really adds an elegance to this piece. Now, like I said, you could create these if you give a gift as a candle as a gift. that really looks beautiful to wrap it. And it adds that extra special touch to the gift for the recipient to know that you created this wrap for this piece. Now, these can easily slide off if the recipient of the wrap wants to do that. So now what you're going to do is, once you've finished doing all of your scalloping, cutting and scalloping, you're going to place this around the candle jar. Now, I place it on its side and I pull it nice and tight. Even when you do it very snug, it will still slide off. So if that's what you prefer to do as far as having it an ability to slide off, it will definitely do that. So I'm going to put a belt or a ribbon around this candle wrap. I'm using a black satin ribbon. I believe I had gotten that at Michael's, but certainly a simple thing like a black satin ribbon, very easy to find most anywhere, from Walmart to Michael's, Joann's, just virtually anywhere that sells ribbon. Now I'm going to go ahead and just put a little dab of glue on that ribbon, just a small dab. And I'm going to hold that very tightly with one finger while I pull it very tightly to wrap it around that candle. I want that nice and snug there. So I'm holding that very tightly, and I'm going to take another little dab of glue, and that will hold that very nicely on that piece. I'll cut off any excess with a pair of nice sharp scissors. You really need sharp scissors for cutting ribbon like that. Okay, now I'm going to take that 2-loop bow that I made, snip off any excess pipe cleaner on the back, and I'm going to simply glue that right at the point where my seam of my satin ribbon is, right at the area of the V on that piece. And by the V, I mean where you see the pattern that I cut on that candle wrap indents somewhat or into a V. You saw me do that when I was cutting it with the scallop scissors. Now that's just becoming so pretty, and it's beautiful as well on a white candle, but I love that black candle to pick up the black in that scrapbook paper. Now, if you're using a button, which is easiest to do, I take my wire cutters and I just snip off the loops that you would naturally just sew this on to something. I believe they're called shanks. I'm not really positive about that, but I think that's what they're called. Now I'm putting some Aleene's tacky glue because that button is a little bit more on the heavier side. I'm going to use Aleene's tacky, and that's going to really fit or stay very nice and snug right there on the center of that bow. You can use a bit of hot glue as well for that immediate hold if you like. I'm just going to leave this candle lying on its side like that until that has a good opportunity to dry. And this is candle number 1. I think it's so pretty. And I'm just going to hold that down till it starts to get a little bit tacky on there. And again, if you want to use a dab of hot glue, that's fine as well. But again, this makes a really beautiful gift, don't you think? It's very lovely. I angled the tails of my bow. And now this is a very pretty gift that you created with simply some scrapbook paper, ribbon, and a button. Okay, here's the white candle. That's exactly the same one. It's very straight, which is awesome. I really appreciate that. Now, I'm going to use this gorgeous scrapbook paper. I've used this many times on many projects. If you follow my channel, you probably recognize it. Hobby Lobby carries this in the single sheet section. It's an off-white color. It's absolutely beautiful. I also have some half pearls. This container has all different sizes of these half pearls. It lasts forever. It's an awesome option to keep in your craft stash for various projects. I got that in the bead aisle at Hobby Lobby, and I got it 40% off. Okay, so I'm going to take my pattern now, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm not using the, I think this one actually had a sticker on the back, because this scrapbook paper is almost like a fabric. It's really amazing. Oh my goodness. I have done so many projects with this paper. It's so beautiful. It has a beautiful design, and I thought this would just be exquisite for a candle wrap. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to scallop my edges. I do tend to use these scissors a lot when I'm creating wraps like this. I just love the idea of finishing the edges of the paper with a scallop design. So I'm going to go around this scrapbook paper, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this that I did with the first candle. Because I have my pattern, I already have the correct height and the correct length, and now I have it all scalloped. Isn't that beautiful? Now I'm going to put my edges together, and from the center, and I just eyeball this. Starting from the center, right there where my finger is, I'm just going to create a curve. And this is going to create that V that you will see on the candle once you wrap it around. Now, again, you can keep it straight if you like. You don't have to do this part. This is just what I like to do. Now I have this beautiful wrap to go around this white candle. They have all different colors of these candles at Hobby Lobby. So you have a lot of options to match your scrapbook paper to the candle. I like the idea of that beautiful glass. It's I can't describe it, but you saw it initially. It's not just a flat glass. It's I don't know how you describe it. Just look at it. You can see it. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and wrap the candle in the same way that I wrapped the other candle. I lay it on its side. I pull it nice and snug, holding on one end while I'm pulling on the other. Put a little dab of glue there. Hot glue holds that very nicely. Very pretty. Probably one of the most beautiful scrapbook papers that you could wrap a candle with. Again, Hobby Lobby in the single sheet section. Every other week, 40% off. Now, I'm going to put a very thin little belt, if you will, around this candle. You have so many options when you do a candle like this, a candle wrap. You can use whatever width ribbon you like, whatever color you like. On this one, I'm using an off-white with a gold edging. Now, this looks absolutely beautiful because the lid is gold. And it's just a nice little elegant touch to go on this piece. Now, this scrapbook paper has a beautiful pattern, so I wanted to highlight that. So I kept my ribbon very, very narrow. Now again, I am wrapping and placing a dab of glue to hold that pretty ribbon very nicely on there. And look how pretty that looks. Now I have this really pretty ribbon. This was from Hobby Lobby. I got it at 40% off on their 40% off week. Actually, I got this in the sewing or fabric department where they have an assortment of ribbons there, as well as in the floral department. So this is very beautiful. It has a nice match to the gold, and it's very elegant looking. It's an off-white with a gold glitter edging. Now, I also had that ribbon from Joann's, which was an off-white velvet. That would have looked pretty as well. So, like I said, so many options. But I'm keeping this this theme of this candle wrapping tutorial is for a more festive kind of look. I'm still thinking, yes, I mentioned it before. I think this would be a great hostess gift if you're going to a New Year's Eve party. Let me tell you, you could do these candle wraps so quickly. I would say maybe in a half an hour. So that would be a very quick hostess gift that would be very well received. So I'm just doing a very small 2-loop bow. I just used a little piece of pipe cleaner there to hold the loops. I'm just going to angle the tails, and I am going to put a half pearl right in the center. And this is going to be very beautiful with that scrapbook paper. These pearls are in off-white. I also have the same container of half pearls in white, but these are the off-white ones, so they're much more suitable to match that scrapbook paper. Cut off the excess pipe cleaner there, and I'm going to just glue that right at the seam where I placed my ribbons, right at the area where that V is formed, where I cut the scrapbook paper. There's my half pearl, and that's going to look so pretty on there. Very elegant, but simple. Okay, so for our third one, I am going to use this silver metallic scrapbook paper, and that was in the single sheet section. Now, in the Paper Studio section, you can get long trims. This particular one is very sticky on the back. It's very sparkly and very festive. Every other week, all those items in the Paper Studio department are 40% off. Now, I have 2 buttons here. One is a little bit larger, that pearl one, really very, very pretty. But I think I'm going to go with that one that's silver. So I'm going back here a little bit, backing up a little bit, and yeah, I must have got things out of order there. But yeah, we can make mistakes, right? Okay, so now I'm finishing up this particular candle wrap, putting my bow on, hot gluing that there. And then I'll put my pearl on the same way with hot glue. Look how pretty that is. And this is going to make a gorgeous gift if you intend for it to be a gift. But I also think this would be beautiful in your home, maybe on your dresser or in the bathroom, or just anywhere in the home where you want just a touch of elegance. So much more pretty than just a candle jar sitting there. So yeah, that was my little backup mistake there, but you got to see the finished candle close up, so that's awesome. And now we're going to actually move on to this other candle. Now, you've already seen me do this. So I went ahead, I used my pattern, I cut out a piece, I scalloped the edges. Now I'm doing the loose fold edges together, and I'm going to cut my little curve on there, starting from the very center and curving it around. Turn it over, go from the center, cut my curve. And this is going to be in a silver theme, which I think is also very, very pretty for winter. So again, I think this would make a lovely hostess gift. Now, you'll notice that you have the gold cap or the top on that candle, and I'm doing silver. I'm okay with that, but you can very easily cover the top of that candle with a rounded piece of scrapbook paper, which you can easily trace out with a pencil. Take the lid, put it on the scrapbook paper, trace around the lid, and Mod Podge a piece of that same scrapbook paper on the top. So you can do that if you like, if you're not okay with the gold top on there. I don't mind gold and silver together. So, yeah, you do you if you prefer that. Now, this is the border. Oh, they have the prettiest borders in the, it's in the sticker department, in the paper studio department. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this beautiful border. When let me tell you how this sticks. You better get it right the first time because, oh my goodness, they are very sticky on the back. So I'm wrapping this candle with this beautiful, sparkly border that I got in the paper studio department at Hobby Lobby. And I got it on the 40% off week. I know the sales at Hobby Lobby like the back of my hand. So I make sure that I get what I need every other week at Hobby Lobby. So pretty, just beautiful. All right. Now, I have another one for another project that I'll put away. I'm going to be using one of the sparkly buttons. It's very beautiful for going on a silver piece and a silver theme. Now I'm going to take this pretty satin Robert Stanley ribbon, and I'm going to create a 2-loop bow. This is a beautiful, beautiful ribbon. I got this in the, again, the sewing department where they have the little ribbon section there. I'm just going to take a pipe cleaner and wrap that around very snug, creating a 2-loop bow. I'm going to be angling my tails, and just like I did on the other pieces, I'm going to simply place my jeweled button right in the center. And this is going to create a very beautiful candle wrap. Now, I'm going to be doing candle wraps in the future as well, as you probably imagined that was going to be coming up. But for sure, there's going to be some for Valentine's Day, because I think that's a great gift for Valentine's Day, to go with maybe flowers, or maybe just as, I'm thinking of you on Valentine's Day gift for anyone. Everyone loves candles. Even if you don't like a scented candle, you can get a lightly scented candle, or you can get an unscented candle, and you can still give this as a gift, even for the person who has allergies. So, just pay attention to what the scents are. Every other week, I think I mentioned it, but every other week, candles are on sale at Hobby Lobby. Home Goods always has a good selection of candles as well. Okay, so I have my wrap, my beautiful belt, I call it a belt, going around that candle. And now I am going to angle my tails and glue that on to my piece. Putting it right at the seam, at the V there. Now I do use a bit of tacky glue along with some hot glue to put that button on there. And I think I mentioned that was a Hobby Lobby button, but in case I didn't, in the sewing department, they have beautiful buttons of all sizes. If you don't like that size of a button, they have other options. Smaller ones, if you want something a little bit less flashy or a little more modest, they have smaller ones like that. So you have those options. I just like the impact of that beautiful button on those pieces. And it's just so super pretty. I'm going to add a little bit of tacky glue around the edges just to be sure that holds on there. Those buttons are not heavy, but on the a little bit of a heavier side, I would say. So, I want to be sure that that stays on there well. Now, I hope you're thinking about how you could wrap a candle and give it as a gift, perhaps as a hostess gift for New Year's Eve. I keep mentioning that, but I do think it's a great idea. But think about it. For birthdays, for any holiday. Just so pretty. And there you have it. That is candle wrap number 3 in a silver theme. Very beautiful. I hope you love these candle wraps. And if you do, and you're not currently a subscriber, I hope you will consider becoming one, so you will be able to be notified of videos that I post all throughout the year in 2025. I have lots of tutorials, ideas coming up in the new year. As well, if you could give this video a thumbs up, and in the comments, let me know which one is your favorite. I'm showing you here, if you want to cover the top, just simply trace around it with a pencil, use a little bit of Mod Podge, and just cover the top. Easy enough to do if you prefer that. And one last look. Now, I did actually move that bow over just a touch for a better alignment with that V. You'll see I did that right there. And one last look at these beautiful candle wraps. I hope you love them, and I hope you're thinking about how you could create these for yourself, for a gift, for a hostess gift. Just a beautiful way to dress up a candle. Okay, until next time, you all take care.